My mother-in-law thinks I cheated on my husband because we are having a girl, then lays hands on me at 8 months pregnant. There has not been a girl born on my husband's side of the family in more than 100 years. There's a huge running joke that the men in his family cannot produce female babies. Fast forward to our wedding night, where my mother-in-law looks me dead in the eye and says, "Now go make us our son. Don't you dare let us down." I nervously laughed and we departed. Over our honeymoon we got pregnant, with a baby girl. Everyone was so shocked when we announced it was a girl, and most of the family denied it up until the moment she was born. That's when the horrible comments started. Whenever my husband isn't around, mother-in-law and her family members will make snarky comments like, "I wonder where she got that nose, it's definitely not the husband's." Well, as it would happen, we are now expecting our second baby. And yep, it is another girl. I begged my husband not to tell the mother-in-law the gender when we found out, as I just wanted to enjoy a bit more of this pregnancy before she ruined it. I had decided to keep the mean comments his mother made to me about our first daughter to myself, as she's old and in poor health, and I felt guilty about potentially ruining their relationship when she probably doesn't have many years left to be around. Regardless, he insists on announcing it at our next visit, and we do exactly that. As soon as she heard it was another girl, tears welled in her eyes and she started shaking her head back and forth and sobbing. She then started yelling at me, called me a cheater, and demanded I get out of her house. The husband immediately stands up and starts yelling at her, asking what her problem is, and that she needs to apologize to me and watch her mouth in front of her grandkids. She says through broken wails, "Not ours. Not ours. Those girls are not ours. She's a cheater. A cheater. My son did not make those girls." I start crying hysterically and pick up my daughter, who is utterly confused as to why daddy is yelling at grandma and mommy is now crying. Mother-in-law then looks at me and starts yelling, "I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in his family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that stupid girl, but I will not allow it again." Husband is now heated. He gets extremely mad and starts screaming at her that she is out of line and how dare she call his daughter names. He then goes on to say that we are leaving, and until she comes to her senses, she will never see any of us again. She tried to say something more, but he cuts her off and yells at her, "By the way, Mom, I love that little girl more than I ever loved you," as he is shuttling us out the door. I cried and broke down and told husband all the little comments she and her family have said to me when he's not around while we drive the 2 hours home. We went no contact for a few months and everything seemed to be going great. Then when I was nearing my due date, we decided to be the bigger person and reach out to her and offer her a chance to make things right. She whined and whines that she misses husband and granddaughter. We agreed to meet for dinner at their house after a few weeks for a proper talk and apology from her. We arrive, dinner is served and we're trying to make small talk when husband says, "Yeah, Mom. This has all been nice, but we need to talk about what happened and the things you said last time we were here. I know, and you know that you owe my wife an apology." Mother-in-law then looks at husband and says, "Yes, do you have the paternity test?" I am not apologizing until I'm proven wrong. And we both know I'm right. You cannot be the father, and the fact that you have now apparently made 2 girls is ridiculous. Husband, what the F is wrong with you? I start to cry and go to get up to grab my things and go to the car. Mother-in-law, "Oh no you don't," she shoots up. Rounds the table and grabs my shirt, then proceeds to scream at me, "How dare you try to run away from this, you're a cheater and you need to own up to this problem." Husband screams at her to get her hands off of me, and starts to make his way towards us. She then decides that I cannot be allowed to leave at any cost with her son. She slaps me across my face. Husband then gets in between me and his mom and starts to scream at her. Husband is furious and I'm crying hysterically. He grabs my hand and we are making our way to the door when mother-in-law grabs a snow globe from a shelf and throws it directly at me. It connects me in the back of my head. I fell to my knees from the pain, and before husband can put together what just happened, she is grabbing anything she can find to throw in my direction. I'm on my knees on the ground holding my head with one hand and my belly with the other. Husband is screaming at the top of his lungs for her to stop, and she proceeds to try to get close enough to kick me. Thankfully, she is old and in bad health, so she loses momentum quickly, and as a last resort husband pushes his mom and she falls back into a shelf by the front door and he rushes me out. He drives me to the hospital and I end up getting 6 stitches in my head and being monitored in hospital for 4 days. The baby ended up being fine, and the hospital demanded we file a police report. We find out that when husband pushed his mom into the shelf, she ended up breaking 2 fingers and is claiming the excessive force hurt her neck very badly. Cops showed up and took our side of the story and compared our own report that we filed once at the hospital. They told us that mother-in-law is demanding to press charges against husband for assault, while we are pressing charges against her. So then my husband gets arrested but then quickly released after father-in-law is forced to tell the truth, and mother-in-law then gets arrested. Father-in-law is now begging us to drop the charges as no one was hurt and that we are being cruel to lock up an elderly woman. We are currently at home waiting for baby number 2 to arrive. I am on a strict bed rest order and husband has taken the week off of work to help pamper me and take care of our first daughter. I asked husband if once baby number 2 arrives, we get paternity tests for both girls to send to his mom in jail, as a huge FU. He thinks it's a hilarious idea and thinks we should also make copies and send them to all the relatives who were entertaining his mom's craziness, along with a written letter saying goodbye. That none of them will ever see us or his daughters again, and that he hopes they're all happy knowing that they've ruined any chance they had to have a relationship with him, or our children ever again. Update: my mother-in-law thinks I cheated on my husband because we are having a girl, then lays hands on me at 8 months pregnant. Well, over the next few days husband got more and more depressed. He started trying to get me to entertain the idea of minimizing mother-in-law's actions, and chalking up her behavior to old age. I told him that she will be getting full screenings for her mental health when we go to court, and that while yes, she's old, she doesn't get to assault me and accuse me of horrible things and use her age as an excuse. A few days go by and I'm nearing my induction day because the baby girl isn't making her entrance, and I find out that husband has been talking with father and mother-in-law behind my back. We get in a big fight and he tells me that he still wants his mom to meet her granddaughter and that we can put this aside until the baby is here. Then afterwards, once she's gotten to meet her, we can resume the legal issues. I am crying at this point as I thought he was supporting me through this, but in reality he caved in no less than 4 days to his mom. I reminded him that we have put in for a restraining order and no contact order and that he has now broken it by contacting them. His response? Well, the no contact order is issued to you, not me. And the restraining order hasn't been approved yet, so mother-in-law can come meet baby girl too before we get approved without breaking any rules. All I could do was shake my head and cry. I put my foot down and said absolutely not, and I couldn't believe he'd let his mom around me or the baby after she could have killed one of us. He said that I was overeating, as the baby was not injured and she wasn't actually trying to hurt the baby, just me. She thumped my pregnant belly. After she threw a snow globe at my head. We got in a huge fight about me not forgiving her and holding grudges and being unreasonable, and eventually he just left. He then went to his mom's house a few hours away. He then called me sobbing and told me that if I could see his mom right now I'd understand. Apparently when he pushed her while she was hurting me, he indeed broke 2 of her fingers and she sprained her neck when she fell back into a shelving unit. She's laid up on a sofa in her living room, can't walk and in a severe depression. I should feel awful according to him. The least I could do is let her meet her new grandchild, and then figure out where to go from there. I'm so infuriated at this point, because not only has he retreated to his mom's house, he left me alone with our oldest daughter who is 2, while I'm supposed to be in bed rest because my baby is due. He doesn't come home for the next 4 days until I'm supposed to check into the hospital for my scheduled induction. My sister comes to watch my oldest daughter and husband takes me to the hospital for the induction. He mostly sat in the room on his tablet, as I was admittedly pretty cold and grumpy with him still and wasn't acknowledging him very much. Mid-labor, my husband asks when can we do a paternity test. I stopped mid-push, looked at my husband and screamed what the EFF. The nurse was silent, looking back and forth between me and husband. The doctor then looks at DH and says, "Sir, we are here to deliver and take care of babies. If you have other personal relationship issues, you need to figure that out afterwards. We focus on the baby and mom, this is not the place to ask questions like that." I immediately start crying hysterically and babbling stuff like it's not like that, it's his baby, his mom is psycho and stuff. I am so mortified at the thought that these nurses and doctors now think there's a chance my baby isn't my husband's and there's no way I can explain the situation to them. I immediately felt judged by the nurse and couldn't help but feel like I had been robbed of a beautiful moment. After the baby came out I just held her and she was beautiful and perfect, but I was so distraught. I couldn't look at husband, and I hate to admit this, but I wouldn't let him hold her. He left, and when he came back about an hour later he said that his mom wanted pictures of the baby and he took out his phone and I smacked it out of his hand. He got angry and left. My sister had to pick us up from the hospital and took us home 2 days later. In my state you have to take the baby back in 2 days after being home to do tests and a checkup to make sure baby is maintaining weight and that there's no obvious signs on neglect. So we took her in for the check and then went to a clinic to do the paternity test the same day. The next few days at home were awful. I can't even look at him, and he has avoided being around me or the baby for days. He barely has even looked at her, and is practically ignoring our oldest daughter. We got in a fight because I was trying to feed the baby and my oldest daughter was crying because Netflix wasn't working, and I started crying because I was so overwhelmed, and he just looked at our daughter and said Mommy didn't pay the Netflix bill because she's mad at Grandma. I yelled at him to not say crap like that to a child. He said he just thought I didn't pay it because his mom uses our account at her house. I just forgot to pay it, it had nothing to do with that. He made several comments to our daughter over the next few days like Daddy's going to go see Grandma, you can't come because Mommy hates Grandma. Then leave me with a hysterical 2-year-old and a newborn. I'm not going to lie, I know that I'm dealing with crazy hormones and this is a horrible patch, but I seriously considered telling him I wanted a divorce right there and then. We got the results for the paternity test 3 days later, and he's the father. He cried and told me he never doubted it and that he knew he was the dad. I told him that we would do a second test on our oldest daughter and that I was going to start packing our stuff and I was going to move in with my sister. He bawled and said he didn't need one for our oldest daughter. I demanded we take one, as I would want it as proof for court whenever we get to have my case heard. I told him that I never cheated on anyone in my life including him and how much it hurt me that he said that in the hospital room and made the nurses and doctors think he doubted our daughter at all. He tried to apologize and hug me, but I pushed him away and told him he should leave while I packed up some things. My oldest daughter, my baby and myself are now staying at my sister's house, and he has told me that he refuses to take the second paternity test for our oldest daughter and is going to make his mom write out a very long apology letter to me. He wants me to come home, but I just can't even look at him the same. I feel like all the love I had for him has been ripped away and I feel so angry towards him. I'm just trying to take care of our girls, but he won't stop calling me. I told him he can see the girls anytime he wants, but he can't take them near his mom and she is not allowed to be around them at all.